today, but we're here on time. In the studio today, we have a very interesting man. He's very creative. He's very unique, I'd say. But before I introduce him, I would like to, once again, as I always do, give credit to my sponsors who are Noeki Online, Bell Chic Fashions, Bless Nab Events, and As Am I Makeup. So yes, as I said, we have a very interesting guy in the studio today. He is a visual artist, mentor and personality, and his name is Eugene Ankomah. Welcome, Eugene.
Thank you.
It's really nice to have you in the studio.
Yeah, it's lovely to be here. And yeah, raring to go now.
Definitely. You're such an interesting person,
Oh, no,
such a
you.
unique individual, and I'm so happy that you've come, you know, and you're on Gold Diggers. You're a perfect example of, you know, someone who's pursued all their lifetime goals and still digging, you know, to continue, you know, achieving the goals that you have.
Right.
So you describe yourself as a visual artist.
That's right, yes.
What's your definition of a visual artist, Eugene?
I think a visual artist is anybody that uses creativity and communicates it in a visual way. So in the normal sense, what we know is people who draw, who paint, even a person who films and uses video to communicate can be a visual artist.
Yes.
So yeah, it's all the things concerning visual. I guess, in my view, even fashion designers are visual artists. Mm-hmm. But it extends more than the visual. So, for example, you have artists like myself. Sometimes I use sounds in exhibitions and the things that I do. Okay. And the sounds are created to deliberately create imagery in your head. Oh, wow. So, for example, if you heard a bird tweeting in the soundtrack, it immediately paints in your head a bird on a tree. Okay. And do you see what I'm saying? And that, and then you might hear, like, say, like an alarm, or like an ambulance. Yes. So that in itself is kind of like a psychological visualness, if you like. Okay. So yeah, it's everything that kind of paints stuff in your mind or makes you see. Yeah. Okay. So you were born in London. Yes, I was. Yeah. And you went back to Ghana. Absolutely. Yeah. How was your experience growing up in Ghana with this, you know, unique gift that you have and these abilities? How was it? How was your childhood? Yeah, I mean, Ghana for me is a beautiful place, first of all, and I think growing up in Ghana was. I would not have chosen any other place, let's put it that way, because obviously Ghana is different from London, and there was so much to see, so much to experience, greater freedom in terms of being outside, experiencing, you know, your neighbours and their farm, seeing animals kind of right in front of you. Yeah, it was really vivid and really interesting in that sense, and I really loved it. I loved every bit of it, especially looking back. And I think I probably appreciate it more because obviously, again, London and other places that I've been to are so different. Yes. So I really cherish the memory or the memories. But yeah, I think I had quite a normal childhood. Okay. And I would say I was happy playing and enjoying the sun, which I wish we had more of in London. Definitely, the weather's been so crap lately. I know, but yeah, no, I think Ghana's a great place. Okay. Yeah, I loved it, yeah. If you've just tuned in, we're talking to Eugene Ankomah, who is a visual artist, and we're live on YouTube, which I forgot to mention earlier, live on YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube page, which is Omega Live TV, and we're also live here on Facebook, Omega Live. Hit that like button so you can get updates every week for all the shows that we have running from Monday to Sunday. So yes, Eugene, you came back to the UK in 1990. That's right. Where you continued and furthered your education. Yes. Can we go into that, talk about how it was coming back from Ghana? That's right. With all this creativity and uniqueness. Yes. I mean, I came back from Ghana really enthusiastic about what London was. So my dad was living here. Okay. And he brought us all over. I was really curious as to what London was going to be like. And I remember my first impression was coming off the plane. It's like London smelt of, like, I don't know, it smelt of the colour orange.
What does the colour orange smell like?
I know, which is a really strange way of explaining. I remember saying this to somebody and they were like, what do you mean by London smelling like orange? And I was like, I can't explain it, but it's just the best way I can explain it.
Wow.
And I think maybe orange because I related to the smell of orange, as in, you know, the fruit orange.
Okay.
But that is just what it felt like. And I have no better way of explaining it. But I remember everything feeling so much bigger, like all these big buildings, and the smell was so completely different. And again, I can't explain what the difference between the smell in Ghana and the smell in London, but it was one of the things that kind of attacked my senses.
Okay.
And I remember it standing out inside me like, you know, this place just smells different. And everything just felt so new, and it felt like there was so many more people around. And when my dad took us, or took me to the high street to do like a bit of shopping, you know, and I just kept looking at everything. I was just kind of like completely overwhelmed, because obviously when I went to Ghana, I was really, really young. So I had no memory of what London was like.
Okay.
But yeah, I loved it.
Okay, so when you came back, what did you study at school? I mean, when did this interest start?
The interest started in Ghana.
Okay.
So one of the earliest memories I have is sitting next to my mom, who was a seamstress, so she would sew clothes for other women who would visit the house to pick up their clothing and everything else. So I remember she had these really thick catalogs, and they were filled with like beautiful drawings of models and some of the clothes.
Oh yeah, they do. The seamstress, they have these old school catalogs with all these designs.
That's right.
And they still have them,
really,
you know.
really thick, really big.
Yeah.
And I remember, you know, I still have a very vivid memory of myself looking through the pages and just being really fascinated by how they were drawn.
Okay.
And looking at the colours and the patterns and everything else. So, you know, I do know that the interest goes back, like way, 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 way back.
Can you speak a little bit louder?
Yeah,
please?
sure, yeah. But before then, back at school, we would be given, you know, we'd be given like exercise books, and the teacher would ask us to copy, you know, whatever we wanted from it, and then we'll get marks.
Okay.
And just that was when I realized that I was very good at it, because I would do drawings and my friends would be like, whoa, you know, wow.
Yeah.
And that again is one of the things that stuck in my mind, like, or has stuck in my mind the most. So yeah, it's always been there. It's just, there's not a time when I don't remember not doing it. It's just always been there, like always been there.
Yeah. So did your parents pick this up? Like, what did they think of the way you was as a child?
I think my mum was really aware of this, because she would supply me with bits of paper all the time.
Okay.
And I think it was also her way of just shutting me up and getting me to just sit and, you know, pay attention to something instead of just running wild. But I'm not sure if my dad took it seriously. I don't know. I don't know what he thought about it. Maybe he thought I was just kind of playing around, but I think my mom is more artistic, so perhaps she knew where it could go and where it was coming from. Yeah.
Okay, so you started, you came back to London, you studied.
Yes.
Was it just like, oh, I'm definitely going to study art? Was there any other things you were interested in, or was it just art?
Very interesting question, and I'll tell you why. So when I came back to London and started school, I knew obviously what my passion was and what my interest was.
Okay.
But at first, I wanted to consciously just basically study and observe the life in London and the kids I had around me and the life and the lessons, because it was quite a lot to take in.
Yes.
So I spent quite a lot of time doing that for many months without showing that I could draw.
Okay.
So I remember we would have art lessons, and I was consciously trying to not put attention on myself by doing what I knew I could do. So I sort of prevented myself from doing what I knew, because I knew it would attract a lot of attention. Okay. And at that point I was really nervous and quite shy. Okay. So I did that for a long time, and then I remember it was the summer holidays, and my teacher called out two boys who were good at drawing, and he gave them 2 sets of oil paints and brushes, and said to them, I want you to be practicing make paintings which you can show me after the summer holidays. And I remember standing there and itching and feeling like, oh,
was this in secondary school?
This was in secondary school. And I remember feeling like, oh God, I wish he would give. But do you know what? He had no idea I could do it.
Okay.
But a boy who had seen me secretly drawing, one of my friends, came in and he said, Sir, Eugene, he's really good at drawing. He's really good at drawing. You should give him one of these. And it was amazing that he even did this. So he said, my teacher turned around and asked me if I wanted a box of oil paints. And of course I said yes. So I went away, and that summer I did loads and loads of paintings and drawings. I brought it back, and he was shocked as to what he saw. And that's when it kind of, the whole school started knowing about me.
Okay, so that was secondary school.
Yes.
And then you went to sixth form. Which sixth form did you attend?
So I didn't go to sixth form. I did my A-level in the same school, which was Wilson High.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then from Wilson High, where did you go?
I went to Central St. Martin's.
And you studied?
Yes, and I did my foundation in art and design.
Okay.
So again, the paintings and the drawings and stuff that I had made during my A-levels was used in my application. And we eagerly waited for them to obviously give me an offer. And I had a letter that said, we want you to attend. We do not need any proof of, your current work or whatever it is. We've seen enough. We're giving you an unconditional offer.
Okay.
And my teacher and myself looked at each other and we're just so happy. We're like, what? St. Martin's, this famous place, is giving you an unconditional offer?
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just.
So at that point, you was just you was just an artist, as in drawing, making things.
That's right. So I was more of a traditional artist.
Yes.
I had, even at that time, like hundreds and hundreds of drawings of my family, people around me, drawings I had done in the park.
Okay.
Because I was just constantly drawing. I mean, nothing has changed, but that's what I was doing at the time. So yeah, it's just. So
when did it start changing from drawing into making things into turning yourself into this kind of character?
Yeah.
I mean, how did it happen in stages? The transitions.
Yeah, I think one of the things that my teachers said to me when I was at school and doing a lot of my stuff about age 16, they said to me, I had demonstrated that I could technically do things really well, which amazed them. But I think they were kind of super amazed when I started to do paintings and drawings in the style of other famous artists.
Yes.
In the past. And I remember one of the teachers looking at me and thinking, I remember him saying, he was like, I can't believe this. Like, not only can you do this, but you can actually work in the style of other people.
Yeah, imitate other artists.
Absolutely. So that was when I knew that I had something extra. And I think that was probably the first opening in my mind as to myself being able to kind of do other things. And I think this comes from that source, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
If you've just tuned in to Gold Diggers, I've been speaking to a visual artist named Eugene Ankomah, and we've been talking about, his development and how he, discovered, the person that he is today. So we're just kind of warming up. We're on YouTube, as I said before. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Omega Live TV, and we're here on Facebook. So that you can get updates of future shows that we have going on during the week. So yeah, Eugene.
Yes.
What triggered the change? Like, okay, we've spoken about the transition, your teacher telling you that, you can do other things apart from drawing and making things, but what, triggered you, like, this transition into the lifestyle of a visual artist? Like, when did it start?
I think it would be easy to say that I started because I was interested in costume and that sort of thing, and I'll come to that in a minute.
Okay.
But I think, again, it's really important for me that the audience, or especially young people watching this, for them to understand that it's about collecting your character, if I can put it that way, being aware of your nature, and picking from your nature and your character and your interest and what you are, and then sticking it together to become, because that way you're kind of picking at your unique points. Otherwise, you're just like anybody else, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I think it started at university when I read a book by a Nigerian writer.
Yes.
And it was really vivid, and it was, you know, incredibly imaginative.
Okay.
So I started making sculptures. And with the sculptures, I wanted the sculptures to feel quite African.
Okay.
So I collected all these African foods, you know, all the popular ones, you know, plantain, you know, yam, all of these things. Like,
Yes.
I gathered a lot of them, and then went to the garden and got old bits of stick and started sticking them together, gluing them together and stuff like that. And that had an incredible reaction from the teachers, because they said to me, like, wow, this is incredibly imaginative. We've never seen anything like this before. Now, once that was done, I think I felt like pushing myself a little bit further. And I thought to myself, like, what will it feel like if I was to make a costume for myself? So I remember going home and I was so excited, and I said to my mum, I've got this idea, but I'm going to need one of your bras. And she looked at me and she said, what? And I said, Mum, I need one of your bras. I have this costume idea. And she was like, okay, I'll have a look, and I'll see if I've got one of my old bras which you can use. And
what did your siblings think? Because
I mean,
was you at home? You was at home at this point.
Yeah, they were just laughing their heads off. They thought, what the hell is going on with him? Like, what's got into him?
Yeah.
But anyway, at the end of the night, she found an old bra, gave it to me. I took it back to university and decorated it in lots of black eye beans.
Oh, wow.
So I transformed it. And I made a costume, which my mum helped me to sew. I put it on. Started doing all these kind of facial expressions. I made spears, carved different images onto the spears.
Okay.
And I made, you know, I stuck leaves onto my costume. It was quite wild looking, but again, the university loved it. And that was my first transformation.
Okay.
And I think the reaction and the success of that, again, made me feel like there was something here which I could push. So from then,
that's when you decided to take
Yes. So I kind of started turning myself into different personas, project after project. And that's how, you know, this person sitting down here turned up. Yeah.
So when you left uni, what did you do? Like, what was your, okay, you graduated.
Sure.
And then what was the next step after uni?
Yes. So after uni, after my foundation, I wanted to find a course that would, again, broaden my horizons.
Okay, after foundation,
that's
before
right.
you went to uni.
Exactly, because normally you do a foundation, and the foundation is supposed to help you figure out whether you want to be a painter, illustrator, sculptor, whatever it is. But I came out feeling like, yes, I love painting and I'm always going to paint, but actually I want to be able to start searching into my performance side, and I want to make prints and I want to make sculpture. So I was kind of like, right? And with that, I applied to the University of Westminster, because they were doing a course where you didn't have to stick to one thing. And that
can explore different.
Absolutely. When I saw that, I was like, this is what I need. So University of Westminster became my next step. Yeah.
So as I said, after uni.
Yes.
What did you?
Sure.
What did you venture into?
Yeah. So after uni, well, whilst I was at school, and all my transition through my foundation at St. Martin's and uni and everything else, I was always showing my works in exhibitions. So I started showing my works quite young.
From a young age.
That's right. And I started selling, and I started getting commissions from people. So I guess in my mind, and I say this to people sometimes, do not feel like there has to be a particular way. Don't feel like you have to finish uni before you start showing your work or start exploring. So I was always showing my work in exhibitions. I had opportunities at local galleries. Other people came in. Other people saw my work. They asked me to do things for them. So I was always at university, doing my stuff, but
But
always,
always taking part
always.
in, okay, always
Because
taking part in exhibitions
I was
and
ready.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I was ready. My work was ready, and I understood what was going on. So yeah, I just kind of went for it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you've taken yourself, you know, globally. You're
Yeah.
global. You're an international visual artist. How do people react to you when you go abroad? You know, how do they, like, depending on the countries, obviously,
Yeah,
or
of
whatever you're
course.
doing? Like,
That's
can you
right.
talk me through some
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
the places that you've been to and some of the experiences you've had?
Sure. It's been incredibly interesting, and I think for the African audience, I get a lot of questions.
Yes.
I think I expected them to be used to this
Mm-hmm.
and to understand it, especially the face paint, because obviously it comes from our culture and
Yes.
going back.
Yes.
But you still get people asking you questions like, you know, why have you painted your face?
Mm-hmm.
And then for me, there comes a point where I kind of take them back to our culture and just to kind of remind them that face painting started as a way of expressing ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes certain face paints were done depending on the ceremony or the occasion.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was a wedding,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the men might paint their face in a certain color, like black and white,
Yes.
and the women might use yellow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they were going to fight, you know, it might be red and black. And then, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So there are all these different reasons. I've explained to people that what I do comes from that place. You know, it's me referencing what our people used to do.
Okay.
But going back to your question, depending on where I've been to, the reaction is all different. But I think I can safely say that wherever I've been to, wherever I've showed my work, wherever I've appeared, it's always the reaction of surprise. Because I think what I have on does remind people of different things, because they're symbols. You know, the top hat, the face paint, the way I do my tie,
Yes.
you know, the words in my blazer.
Can you talk me through your outfit? 'Cause
Yeah, sure.
It's quite interesting.
Thank you.
I remember the first day I met you, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
what are these people doing here? You know,
Yeah.
I remember I was hosting the red carpet for Miss Tourism UK,
I remember.
Miss Tourism Ghana UK, and
That's right.
I was like, has anyone seen these people?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Why did they
I was
let
like,
them
there's
in?
some weird people gate crashing this event, and I was looking around like, has anybody seen these people? Because you was with your friend,
Of
that
course.
lady, and she's
Yes,
just
geisha,
yeah, she's a character.
Yes.
And you know, she does all this stuff, and she
Yes.
was doing, and I was like, hey, who are these people? Like, what's going on?
Sure,
And you lot
yeah.
actually performed as you were coming in, or
That's
you were,
right,
what
we
was
did.
that all about? Like, what were you doing?
So, well, of course we had to make an entrance.
Yeah, because I was like, I was
Yeah.
like, what's going on?
Yeah, and I mean, we used the opportunity to do a bit of filming as well.
Okay.
So, which later gets edited into a video of the night or the occasion. So that's why you saw us came in the way we did.
Yeah.
But yeah. yeah.
I was just like, who are these people?
Yes.
I didn't understand it. I didn't
course.
understand
I know.
the whole thing, and I was
Yes.
thinking,
Yeah.
like, what's wrong with Maria? Why has she
Yeah.
got these people here? And now you're here, and you
Of
know,
course.
I understand you.
I
It's
know,
amazing,
yes,
isn't it?
Absolutely. And you interviewed us.
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
And even
yeah,
when I was talking to you,
Yes.
you sounded really like normal. So I was like, oh, it's not that bad.
Yes.
But she was always in character. But you
Yes.
kind of became normal and was
Yes.
answering the questions.
Sure.
But she was still going on doing all the
Yes,
stuff. So I was
yes.
like,
Yeah.
are these people okay?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what
yeah,
is this
yeah,
all
yeah,
about?
yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
understand it then.
Of course.
I do understand it now.
Yeah.
So how was, obviously you've answered this, but how was your Ghanaian heritage contributed to, you know, you as this visual artist?
I think Ghana was the foundation. And like I said a little bit earlier, everything in Ghana was just visual. You know, it was just for a person who observes so closely life and activities and everything around me, Ghana was just perfect. So I say to people sometimes, I've met people who sometimes say to me like, oh, you know, when are you going to do work about Ghana? And I'm like,
Yes.
I don't need to specifically do anything about Ghana because I'm Ghanaian.
You
and
are.
that's enough.
Yes.
And you know, I've done things like, you know, designing the Ghanaian flag for Buckingham Palace like
Yes.
years ago.
Yeah.
So you know, in terms of reflecting Ghana, there are many different things in there. But to be honest with you, going back to the sculptures I mentioned a little bit earlier, even the influence and the imagery and the way they looked is, you could argue, referencing some of the things I saw on TV when I was a kid.
Okay.
So it's I've pulled from what I saw and what I am in so many different ways.
You have. So do you feel accepted by the Ghanaian community?
Yes, I mean, as with every audience.
I mean, is it important for you to be accepted by Ghanaians? Is it some, or are you bothered, or you're not bothered?
If I'm honest with you, I'm not bothered, and I don't think I'm bothered by anybody accepting it or not.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter where I go. I think for a person to develop themselves into what I am and who I am and what I do, you have to dig deep into yourself. And you almost, in your own private time, turn yourself inside out, and you get to know yourself.
Yes.
And you accept yourself on a deep, deep level. So when you come out, it doesn't really matter whether people understand it or not. You still continue to be yourself. Because I've always realized, and it might sound a bit cliche, but whether you're good, bad, you know, bright, dull, whatever it is, somebody somewhere will always have something to say.
Definitely.
And for that reason, I'm
even
not really...
Even if you're simple.
Even if you're simple, you know, even if you, I don't know, dye your hair blue, green, blue, whatever it is, there's always somebody that's always going to say something. So I think one of my ways of being is to preempt every situation before I go into it. So walking down here, I had lots of people looking at me, but there are lots of positive reactions as well. Just before I got to the studio, there was a lady and her daughter, and she kept looking back, and you could tell her mother was wondering what was going on. So she turned around, she's like, "Whoa!" She's like, "Where are you going? What are you?" And then she read the back of my jacket.
What's on the back of your jacket?
That says,
"Psychologist with a brush."
Right? So she's suddenly like, "Oh, excuse me, could you wait? You know, what is a psychologist with a brush?" So I'm walking backwards because I'm in a hurry, but I'm answering her questions. And she's like, "Oh, bye, see you later." And I've never met them before. So it's interesting how my approach to art kind of makes people feel. And I think the interactivity is what makes it so exciting.
So how do your family and friends feel about your lifestyle, and are your friends like you? Do you have friends that are different, that are not into all this art stuff? And
I have friends who are terrified to be around me when I look like this.
Wow.
Because they know other people are going to be looking, and they're not into the whole.
They don't want the.
That's right. They don't want the limelight on them. So that's right. So some do step aside when I'm in this character. But generally, they have come to respect and accept me for what I do. And I think they know that I'm consciously challenging people's perceptions. I'm pushing my art forward. They know I'm a playful person who does not take life too seriously. They know I'm interested in psychology. So I think when they think of Eugene as the person that I am, they understand.
It's not that bad.
Yes, it's not that bad. Yeah, for most people. Yeah, some think I'm crazy, but that's fine. Yeah.
So you've won a lot of awards. Can you tell me a bit about them? Like, let's go way back. Let's go back to when you was in school.
Yes, Peter Evans. Yes. So when I was about 16, 17, my art teacher calls me one day and says, "Eugene, you've been nominated for some award." And then 2 days later he says, "It's been given to you." And I remember thinking, what? But again, this goes back to some of the works that I was talking about earlier. It was because, as I was told, I had demonstrated that I could do technical paintings and drawings really well. But I think because I transcended that into doing things that nobody expected, and because I worked so hard, they respected it and appreciated the fact that I had done all that. But you know, it felt like the whole school supported me. So I had the 7s and 8s especially following me about, you know, Eugene, could you draw this for me? Could you do this for me? And I would spend time in the classes, in the art sessions, just helping them out. So it felt like I had a big fun club, you know, even at age 16, 17. And I think all of that kind of stuff just helped because it felt like I was just one of them. And yeah, so that was the very first award, the Peter Evans Award. So that was super special.
What is the Peter Evans Award?
So that was given by Peter Evans, who had a foundation.
Okay.
He had passed away, and he had left lots of money to his family, and asked them to kind of to put the money into young creatives who were doing well, who showed promise. And you know, fortunately, I became the first person to receive that.
Okay, so you're the first winner of
Absolutely,
that award.
yes. And going back to your question, since then, there's been many different awards and prizes from exhibitions that I had locally, nationally. The latest one I received was about 3 weeks ago at an event in Parliament, and that was related to the knife crime project, which has been one of the things that I've been promoting lately. But yeah, there's been many.
You also won a BEFTA?
That's right, yes.
BEFTA, not
That's right.
BAFTA.
Yes, BEFTA, yes. BEFFTA, yeah, BEFTA,
Yes.
yeah.
I've actually won a BEFTA award.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant, wow.
Well,
Okay.
I didn't.
Yes.
The company I worked for.
Oh, excellent, yeah.
2012,
yeah.
So when did you win the BEFTA award, and what was it for?
Sure, so I won the BEFTA in 2017.
Okay.
And that was, I was one of 100 people that were sort of getting spotlighted for the work we had done. And I had done some work on the Libyan slavery situation that came out in the news, if you remember.
Yes.
You know, slaves being sold, or people of African descent in Libya being abused and sold as slaves. So I'd done some work and some protests. I had created, you know, one of my cases, and all sorts of different things. So it was for that. And then at the end of last year, I was called to another award ceremony, and then I received another one.
Another BEFTA?
Another BEFTA.
Okay.
And that was, again, for my knife crime project. And basically the awareness that I'm creating in trying to kind of bring that whole ridiculous situation, you know, to the UK or to the audience around us. You know, yeah, it's just a terrible situation. But yeah, it was for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of exhibitions and performances in your career.
Yes.
But which ones have stood out for you or have accelerated your career, like taking you to another level? Which ones have stood out for you?
Yeah, good question. I would reference, or I would go back again to the university project where I turned myself into a character when I was making the sculptures, as I mentioned. That was the first breakthrough. And I think rushing through the different years, I performed at the BBEA Awards, which was in 2017. And I created a performance called Black Clash Blues, which references Nina Simone's song, which is Backlash Blues. So I changed it by adding an L and made it Black Clash Blues. And that was about the life and history of black people, us coming over to Europe and our expectations and the reality of what has happened to some people, but through our struggles, how by holding on and by having faith and hope, you know, we've kind of transcended into a different place where we can find ourselves grounded, but also happy and thriving and doing different. So that performance was really powerful and awesome, and I think the feedback was incredible. So that has been one of the great ones. But then I'm doing and creating performances all the time.
But that's the one that stood out for you.
That's one of the best ones, I think, just because of the theme, but the audience and the reaction I got back. You know, I had some people kind of really touched and tears in their eyes and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I've done performances in Athens with another artist colleague of mine called Katerina. And that was, again, really powerful because it was for an audience who were not used to seeing tribal stuff and the theme that we were talking about, which was the lack of water in some parts of the world.
Okay.
So yeah, those ones, there are more, but I'll just stick with those three.
Okay.
Those are really kind of.
And you did something at Buckingham Palace?
Yes. So the Buckingham Palace situation was a flag I was asked to design.
Okay.
And I think I was probably about 18 or 19 at the time. And that was an incredible moment because.
Okay.
Again, to receive such an opportunity because of those who had seen my work and wanted to promote what I do. Yeah, it was incredible. It was a really great moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm on WhatsApp
Yes.
because this is an interactive show.
Yes,
so
yes,
if you've tuned in, we're here with Eugene Ankomah. He's a visual artist. He's been telling us about his amazing journey from childhood to sixth form to university, you know, and we're still talking, we're still getting into this, we're still warming up. So if you just joined us, we're live on YouTube. Our YouTube page is Omega Live TV. You can subscribe, you can interact with us there, you can ask questions. You can ask questions here also on Facebook. If you want to ask Eugene anything,
please do.
Please reach out. I'm here on my phone. People are starting to someone said, is that his real face? Well, you know, yes, it is his face. He's painted his face, but we're going to go into that. We're going to, you know, we're still talking about Eugene. I find you really fascinating, and I think you're an amazing person. Now that I understand what you do myself, you know, I just think it's positive, and it's very important in life to just be who you want to be.
Yes,
you know, and just be free. You know, and that's what you're doing. You're living your life.
That's right. Yeah.
You're making money from it.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and you're also doing a lot of positive things within the community as well.
Yeah.
That's what I want to talk about. You know, now about you working with youth. Yeah, we do have some pictures, I believe, of Eugene working with some young guys.
That's right. So the projects I've been doing, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, is to do with the knife crime situation. Obviously, if you live in the UK especially, you wouldn't know about it, you can't miss it.
It's getting really bad these days.
Absolutely. And I think it was yesterday, a friend of mine called and was, you know, on the phone just said to me, Eugene, have you realized what's happening? And I said, what do you mean? They said, you know, the knife crime situation is getting a lot more attention now, and people are taking it more seriously. And I said, good, you know, because I'm still in the middle of it, and I am at the moment actually talking to a couple of schools and representing the work. My knife crime project in their premises. So yeah, it should be interesting.
We're still waiting for the picture, I believe.
I'm sure it's coming up soon.
It will come up soon. So as before we get on to that, we're waiting for the picture. So you've worked with a variety of people. How do you engage with them, like different generations? Okay, we're talking about youth, we're waiting for the picture to come on, but I mean, do you have the same approach when working with older people and younger people? Because you do work with you do work with older people as well. You do community work and stuff like that.
Absolutely,
I mean, how do you approach that? Like, how's your approach with older people? Is it different from
the younger
people? And what do you do with older people? I mean, what types of things have you done?
I think the way I approach it is to always get whoever it is that I'm speaking to or working with to understand that if you're working with me, that I expect you to be free. I expect you to get rid of whatever burdens or whatever's weighing you down type of thing, and you're kind of there to have fun. And I think whether you're young or old, everybody wants to have fun, right?
Yes.
And I think if you can get people to get relaxed, you know, psychologically or mentally, everything else kind of flows after that. So that's my approach for both sides of the coin, older and younger. And the young people especially, I think I've met too many young people that have been told, you know, you can't draw, so you can't be an artist, or you can't do this, you can't be an artist. And again, my approach is to always get them to know that, you know what, you're here, I'm not expecting whatever from you. Whatever you say, whatever you express is as worthy as anybody else's. And I think, once again, if you can get people to be in that space of feeling like they can express without judgment, you can get people to do almost anything. Yeah, and I think, again, I do that with both young and old.
I got a message.
Yeah,
Someone
sure.
wanted to ask about your outfit. So
Sure.
Can you talk us through your outfit?
Yeah, no problem. So,
and how you created this outfit? Like, what look is this?
So, I do not have a name for this look. I have a name for another look that I have, but this is what it is. So I have the top hat, and that basically comes from obviously the old English history, from Victorian times, the old English gentleman. I have a crown.
Yes,
around my hat. That's right. Which is basically about me owning myself and saying that, you know what, I'm as important as anybody else. It's about raising yourself and having pride in yourself and who you are, as you were saying a little bit earlier. I have the face paint, like I mentioned earlier. That goes back to old African practices. Obviously, some cultures still do it now.
Yes.
So sometimes the face paint that I put on is symbolic, be it the color or the pattern that I put on. I'm interested in fashion and theatre.
Yes.
So that has led me.
You're quite theatrical, aren't you?
You think so?
Very.
So my interest in fashion has got me kind of, you know, designing my own shirts. You know, you've got lots of paint splatter.
Yes.
You know, you have, you know, so I combine things in a way that,
wow.
You know what I mean?
Can we see him properly? Because oh yes, there's the camera. So you can, people can see.
Yeah. So what I do, you know, obviously, so yeah, it's just a combination of stuff that I find interesting, stuff that is symbolic to me. You saw earlier the back of the jacket that says psychologist with a brush. So it's statements, because believe it or not, I also write poetry.
Wow.
Although I've never really put in a lot of it out, so not many people know about it. But I love writing, and I love writing quotes, and I love writing different things that come to my mind. So the statement on the back of my jacket comes from that. Obviously, I have the word plan written with an arrow. You know, 08. I started this because I genuinely find men's fashion quite boring.
You do?
Yes, I do. I think you women have it so much better. So this was my way of just kind of customizing my stuff and making it more eye-catching for me. And obviously you have the gloves. But I think growing up, I loved a lot of the artists, as in musicians of the 80s. Or the usual suspects. And I was fascinated by what they did, what they wore, for what concerts, and that has also influenced my different changes, my different personas, but also what I'm wearing today.
So do you go out like this every day, or is it, I mean, do you just do this as you feel, or how does it work?
That's exactly what it is, as I feel.
So if you get up one day and say, I'm going to dress like a...
Absolutely. Like if I want to go, and I've done this before, if I want to go for a walk on Oxford Street, like this, I do exactly that.
You just go down Oxford Street, dress up.
I get my camera person and I say,
let's go.
Oh, we're going down to Oxford Street today, you know, let's go have some fun. And we walked the whole of Oxford Street, and you can imagine the reaction. People pulling out their cameras, filming, photographing, wanted to do selfies, you know, the whole shebang.
And you go into character.
Yes, and we do all of that. So I don't dress like this every day, but whenever I feel like it, I have the freedom
to do
and the intent in doing exactly what I want. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You've caught the eye of a lot of celebrities.
Yes.
You know, you have celebrity fans.
Yes.
You know, tell us a bit about that. And you've made stuff for celebrities as well?
That's right, yeah. So I've been to many different events in the past, or been invited to many different events. And from the Screen Nation Awards to Afro Hair and Beauty events in places like Mayfair. And I've met people like Christine Ohorogu, the former, I can't remember the race she used to champion, but I'm sure people will kind of recognize her name. I've met so many different people. I can't even remember the names now. It used to be in my head all the time.
Dizzy Rascal, I read about you.
Dizzy Rascal, yes. Colin Salmon, who's been in James Bond. I've met people like Yuri Geller, who at some point wanted to be my manager.
Wow. So what happened there?
At the point, there was a lot of...
is he not a magician?
Yes, or paranormalist. Which is a bit...
paranormalist? So
he channels the paranormal, he says, into bending his spoons.
Yeah, he does all that stuff.
That's right. So he wanted to be my manager, but at the time, Israel was going through a tough time, I think, with the Palestinians. So he went away to kind of do some work back in Israel, and it kind of, our agreement kind of subsided, and it never continued. Okay. But he continues to support and respect what I do a lot. He really appreciates my talent and has said incredible things about what I do. Okay. But yeah, in terms of the celebrities, the list just goes on. I've met so many, and I think there's about 18 of them who have my works in their homes. Okay. So yeah, it's ongoing. It's ongoing.
Yeah. So going back to you working with youth, you hold a lot of sessions with young people. Yes. Are you still doing that now? Like,
yes.
What are you currently doing?
Sure. So it's something that's very, very important to me, and the reason is because, as I mentioned earlier, when I was doing my A-levels, I had a lot of young people wanting to know about what I do, wanting to know about how to draw, asking lots of questions and that type of thing. So it was at that point that I said to myself that I needed to help the youth, and wherever I was going in my career, I wanted to help out young people especially, and get them to kind of also express and free themselves. That's how that started. Currently, I'm working with young people at the Salmon Youth Centre. And what we're doing, the major project, is to carry on with the knife crime exhibition or installation, which we started, which was a big thing late last year. Okay. And we're now moving into another school, but I'm in talks with a capital city at the moment. So that's the project. Yeah.
I was going to go back to the knife crime, but you're covering all the topics.
Yes.
So I was going to say, when you do these things, you know, what are the potential solutions? Like, what's the aim of holding these sessions with the young people? I know that we keep going on and on about it, but sure. What's your solution?
Okay.
You know, like, because it's all good doing these sessions, and everyone's, you know, on this thing about, you know, knife crime awareness and everything. Yes. But what are you actually doing? Like, is it, are you actually making a change within your community? Sure. You know, I think, do you have any case studies? Or?
Yeah, no, good question. I think the thing that triggered the project and the ideas, and that came about, was the fact that I had noticed that obviously through the media, TV, radio, newspapers, the topic on the knife crime situation was all more or less the same. It repeats in a way to kind of shock the audience as to, look, you know, a 16-year-old boy got stabbed. Yes. Or like, you know, 2 boys got stabbed in the park, you know, whilst making their way home. And what I wanted to do was to kind of bring something different into the conversation. So I decided to create a project which I have been told is very clever. I wanted to create something that was like a memorial scene. and memorial scene, because this is what we've become so used to seeing in the news. So I wanted to take an image that was quite popular and to represent it.
Okay.
But in my re-representation of this memorial scene, it's actually a bit of an illusion. So I want you to see it, I want you to come close to it, and then you realize there's loads of artworks instead of pictures of victims. And then you have the usual things like flowers on the floor, candles, all the things you can imagine, all handmade. So I wanted it to be really powerful. I wanted it to be authentic. I wanted it to be genuine. So everything was made by hand. And then when you get close to the images and the messages within the work, you realize that actually it appeared to be something about death, but on closer inspection, it's actually about the celebration of life. And it's talking about the preservation of life. And it's reminding young people especially that your life is precious, and do not therefore get involved in activity and in situations that would potentially take your life or another person's life because of your decision in carrying knives. And that, in a way, is the brief way of explaining it. So it was very interactive. The public could come in, they could make their own notes, own drawings, and add to it. So it was forever growing. But again, the effect it had on people was, you know, just amazing. And I'm really happy that it's affected people and brought something positive. We did a lot of video recordings, and I remember two young girls said something that really touched me. One of them said, you know, looking at the work, being in the space of the work, hearing the sound that Eugene has created, it makes me feel what I think the families of victims feel like. And you're talking about a girl who's only 10. And another was about 12. But for them to say that, it's almost as if they had jumped into my head and into my heart at the point when I was creating it and what I wanted to communicate. And that was, for me, just enough.
This art thing is very deep, you know. No, it is. Art is very powerful. People don't realize how powerful art is.
Absolutely.
If you've just tuned in, we've been speaking to Eugene Ankomah, who is a visual artist. He's also a mentor to youths, and he's a personality, as you can see. He's quite a character. He's come here in character. And we just want to let you guys know that we do have, you know, we are powered by Omega Live TV, but Omega Live TV comes from Omega House, which is a digital it's a multimedia company. And at Omega House we print photos. We also cover weddings and parties, funerals. So if you need, you know, your wedding or party, reception, whatever party it is to be covered, or even events, we cover events. You know, we covered Ghana at 62 last week. At the Ghana, with the Ghana High Commission at the Belgravia in Knightsbridge. It was an amazing event. We cover all these cultural and traditional events. So, you know, if you want anything covered, Omega House is our mother company, and Omega Live TV is born from Omega House. So please follow us also on YouTube. We're live on YouTube now. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're live on Facebook. Like our page so that you could be updated with all our programs. We have political shows. We have Ghana 2020. We have an African political show. We have Nsempi, which is entertainment and gossip from Ghana, live from Ghana. Everything that's going on in Ghana is on Nsempi, which is every Friday, I believe, at 9 o'clock. You know, we have a lot of interesting shows, but this show is Gold Diggers, and Gold Diggers covers business, lifestyle, and inspirational stories. We bring to light people doing amazing things within their communities, various societies and professions. And, you know, as you can see, we have Eugene Ankomah here. He's a visual artist, and he's taken us through his journey of, you know, from childhood. You know, he has a unique ability. He has a unique gift. You know, he's not just an artist. He's also an illustrator. He's an advocate. You know, I mean, Eugene, you're everything. I don't even know what to say you are anymore. You're You know, you're an amazing person. Your character. You know, you're just doing it all. So, just to like wrap up.
Yes.
Not wrap up as such. I just got a few more questions to ask you before,
sure.
you know, we bring the show to a close. I wanted to talk about, you know, a TV appearance that I saw online, and I found it quite funny.
Okay.
You know, and I wanted to ask you if it's real.
It's a couple of those.
Yeah, because I saw you on ITV, Judge Rinder.
Yes.
You know, I saw it online yesterday, and I was like, what's this all about? I mean, was that real? Because that's supposed to be your friend.
Yes.
I mean, what happened there? I don't understand.
I think because I work with Geisha currently, it's easy for people to not realize that there was a bit of a rift between us.
Okay.
A little while ago.
Oh, okay. So that was old.
Yes.
Okay.
So although it's still online and people are still buzzing about it, it's quite an old story.
Okay.
I think about maybe 3 years now it's been. But yeah, there was a bit of a conflict of interest with Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah.
Which I turned into Miss Humpty by giving it a sex change. And the point of that was to just basically communicate the idea of, well, not the idea, the reality of what was going on around the time.
Okay.
Of people going through, you know, sort of, you know, man turned into woman and woman turned into man.
Yeah,
the whole transgender, that's right.
Yeah, that was happening the last.
Absolutely. So that I used basically the character in kind of communicating that idea. And I think Geisha had given it to me at the time and had basically disproved of what I had turned it into.
Okay.
And ITV heard about it and they decided that, you know, we might as well just come onto the show to battle it out. So we were invited, we went on there, and yeah, everything took place as people may see on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had a conversation yesterday, and you said to me that you're in transition of character.
Yes.
Which I found quite interesting.
Sure.
You know, and I just thought, I wish I could just change character. Like,
yeah.
This guy is actually telling me he's in transition of changing character. So does that mean you're getting tired of this look, or I mean, what's happening with you now? What can we expect?
Yes, I mean, I'm definitely not getting tired of this look. But I think whilst I have this look, I consciously create other projects.
Okay.
That means that I create other personas to front the project, if that makes sense. The same way that, for example, say Philip Green of Topshop will get Kate Moss to front the campaign of a new collection, say a summer collection coming up. So I've kind of taken that concept where when I'm coming up with a new project, what I do is I will create a persona or a character, as some people would call it, to basically be the face of that project. So people know that I'm doing a lot of digital paintings at the moment, but actually in reality I'm like 3 projects ahead, 3 or 4 projects ahead. And one of them is a different persona that I have created. Okay, so
that's the person you're transitioning.
That's right.
The character you're going to be transitioning into.
That's right. So in some part of the year I will introduce this. Okay. His name is MP. Okay. And looks completely different to what you're looking at. Okay. Right now. So yeah. Okay.
So apart from art, Eugene, what other interests do you have? Because some, you know, people might think, is this, do you eat this, breathe it, is it your life?
I definitely eat it.
Well, I know you eat it and breathe it and sleep it and all that, but apart from all this, what other things are you interested in?
Yes, so I love reading.
I mean, do you have a normal life? Like,
yes, I do, I do, when I feel like it. Yeah. So yeah, no, I love reading. Like I said earlier, I love theatre, I love watching films, I love learning. Okay. So anything that makes me learn, that takes me on a mental journey in learning and absorbing information, I love. I love watching autobiographies or reading about other people. Okay. Anybody that has achieved anything that is considered to be excellent or of excellence, I love to read, I love to study their minds, I love to just take. But that's just what I am. I'm kind of like a sponge. I just love to take. Okay. But yeah, I'm interested in food. I'm interested in other people. I'm interested in language. I'm interested in traveling. Okay. I'm interested in media. I love psychology. You
mentioned that before.
That's right. That's right. And I'm really into kind of helping other people as well on their own journey. So self-development. That's right. Yeah. So I'm really if you're around me, you always see me like encouraging people. Like you do something little, and I make sure that they know that they feel like you know, that they can do more. And I feel like that really kind of sends people in a different way mentally, and it makes them achieve more. So I'm into all of that. I'm into a lot of positivity and just kind of driving yourself forward and doing more than you think you can. You know,
Well, it's been really nice talking to you, and you know, you've really opened my mind, and you've made me think about certain things myself. It's you know, it's been really nice. So where can people find you on social media? If people are interested in what you do, you know, want to get in contact with you, where can they find you?
So I'm all over the place. On Twitter, everything is Eugene Ankomah. So my website, Instagram, Facebook, Google has a lot of different things, from magazine interviews, TV interviews, all kinds of stuff. Whatever you want to know, go onto Google. You have my website, which is my name, eugeneankomah.com. But yeah, there's stuff coming out all the time. Yeah, there's stuff that I still have to put up on Facebook. I mean, sorry, YouTube, on my page. But I'm doing stuff all the time. Like, but Google is one of the best places. If you put in my name and you put news, you click on news, you see like the latest thing I'm probably working on.
It's been lovely talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much.
If you've just joined us, or you know, if you've been watching, as you've seen, we've been talking to Eugene Ankomah, and he's a visual artist. He's also a mentor and a personality, as you can see. He's very artistic. You know, his lifestyle, he's turned his lifestyle into his passion, into a lifestyle where, you know, he helps people, he actually makes money. You know, he's living, breathing, everything he does is art. Just want to thank you guys for watching. You know, Gold Diggers, we're here every Monday at 8 p.m. live on Omega Live TV, and as I said before, we do have a YouTube page, so subscribe, Omega Live TV. We're interactive there. You can ask questions there as you do here on Facebook. And Facebook is Omega Live TV, as I said before. Like, so that you can get updates of all our shows and everything that's going on within the community. And yes, thank you. We're here next week. Until next week. And next week we have an amazing guest in the studio. If you think Eugene is amazing, or Eugene's weird or totally different, the lady we have next week is just, she's something else. So definitely tune in to our show next week. Thank you for watching. I'm Miss Newlove.